All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, worry. And you know where we're drawing our lesson from today? A really beautiful, simple children's story that uses parables from the world around us to teach something incredibly profound. So let's get into it.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one big question, doesn't it? How do we handle that anxiety, that feeling in the pit of our stomach about what might happen? This is exactly what our main character is up against, and we're going to follow his journey to find an answer. Okay, so let's meet the star of our story. He's this sweet little boy named Bam Bam, and his life is, well, it's pretty peaceful. He lives with his mom, Lynette, his grandma, Jessie, and his uncle, Jamel. It's this loving, tight-knit family, the kind of place you'd think is a total safe haven from worry. But, as we're about to see, anxiety has a way of creeping in, even to the safest of places. And yep, it finds a way in. It all starts on what seems like a completely normal day. Bam Bam is out in the vegetable garden helping his grandmother. And it's right there, in that calm, quiet setting, that he asks this question that just shows a real fear has been taking root inside him. A fear of the unknown. So what's he so scared of? It's this idea his grandmother taught him about a wolf in sheep's clothing. And what's really interesting is how direct her definition is. This isn't some make-believe monster under the bed. She's talking about a very real human threat. A bad person who fakes being good to get close to you. And that idea, it just plants the seed of anxiety in Bam Bam's mind. He asked this question right here, and it's a fear I think we can all relate to. What if that kind of hidden danger gets into our safe space, into our family, and just tears everything apart? It's that deep fear of being deceived and what could happen because of it. Now, his grandmother, she's a very wise woman. She doesn't just brush off his fear or say, oh, don't worry about it. Nope. Instead, she does something brilliant. She draws his attention to the world right there in front of him, and she gives him the first of two really powerful lessons from nature. She tells him to look at the birds, and she shares this wisdom. I mean, what a question, right? It's all about value and being provided for. The birds, they aren't stressing. They're not planting seeds or harvesting crops. They're just taken care of. The message is pretty clear. If they're looked after, won't you be too? But even after hearing this, the story tells us that Bam Bam's worries didn't just disappear. The lesson hadn't fully sunk in yet.
So that brings us to the second lesson. This one comes a little bit later in the day. Bam Bam is out for a walk to the store with his uncle Jamel, and this time the lesson isn't up in the sky. It's right there on the ground. So they're walking along and they pass this meadow, and Bam Bam is just stopped in his tracks by these flowers. The story says their petals glistened like jewels in the sun. What amazing imagery. He's just totally lost in that moment of natural beauty. It's the perfect setup for what his uncle is about to teach him. And this is where his uncle just hits him with this incredible comparison. Think about it. He says that even King Solomon, like the wealthiest, most glorious king in history, with all his riches and power, was never dressed better than one of these little flowers. And the flowers? They don't work for it. They don't worry about it. They just are. They are clothed in this incredible splendor without any effort at all. Okay, so let's recap. Bam Bam has these two pieces of a puzzle, right? He's heard about the birds being fed. He's seen how the flowers are clothed in beauty. But there's still just two separate ideas in his head. It's his mother, Lynette, who comes in and finally snaps it all into place. And there it is. That's the light bulb moment. His mom connects the dots for him with this one simple but incredibly powerful question. She takes the lesson of the birds and the lesson of the flowers, and she weaves them together into this undeniable truth. If so much care is given to them, just imagine the kind of care that's reserved for us. This really breaks down his whole journey so well. It wasn't instant. It wasn't like a switch just flipped. No, it was a process. First, he hears the lesson from his grandma. Then, he actually sees a living example with his uncle. And finally, with his mom's help, he understands how it all connects. That's the moment his whole perspective shifts. And it's only from that deep understanding that he finally, truly finds peace. So, what's the big takeaway here? How did this one afternoon actually change Bam Bam? Well, this wasn't just some nice thought for the day. It became a core principle that he really integrated into his whole life. In the end, the story leaves us with a core message that Bam Bam totally embraced and then started sharing with others. And it's this simple but profound set of ideas. You don't need to worry. Instead, you put your trust in him, you pray, you make a choice to not worry. And it all culminates in the title of the story itself. Always seek ye first the kingdom of God. And that kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? Bam Bam's store uses the simplest things imaginable, birds and flowers, to solve one of the most complex human problems, worry. So it leaves us with this question to think about. In our own busy, complicated lives, what profound lessons are waiting for us in the simple things that we might be overlooking every single day?